Oh, good heavens!
Gwendolen! What does this mean?
Merely that I'm engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down immediately. Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in the young and physical weakness in the old. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by her trusty maid, whose confidence I purchased by means of a small coin, I followed immediately by a luggage train. Her unhappy father is, I am glad to say, under the impression that she is attending a more than usually lengthy lecture by the University Extension Scheme on the influence of a permanent income on thought. I do not intend to undeceive him. In fact, I have never undeceived him on any question. But you, sir, will clearly understand that all communication between yourself and my daughter will cease immediately from this moment. On this point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
Gwendolen and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind, sir. And now, as regards Algernon. Algernon?
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
May I inquire if it is in this house that your invalid friend Mr. Bunbury resides?
No. Bunbury doesn't live... No, Bunbury's not here at... I'm quite afraid, Aunt Augusta, that poor Bunbury has died.
Died? When did he die? His death must have been very sudden.
Yes, I killed... Mr. Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Oh, Bunbury? Well, I'm afraid he was quite exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of a revolutionary outrage? I was not aware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in social legislation. If so, he is well punished for his morbidity.
No, Aunt Augusta. I mean that Bunbury was found out, yes. The doctors found that Bunbury couldn't live anymore. So Bunbury died. Yes. That's what I mean.
Mr. Bunbury seems to have had great confidence in the opinions of his physicians. However, I am glad that at the last that he decided on some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we have finally got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, Mr. Worthing, may I ask, who is this young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is currently holding in what seems to me to be a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is my ward, Miss Cardew.
Yes, Aunt Augusta. Myself and Cecily are engaged to be married.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I don't know if there is anything peculiarly exciting about the air in this particular part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seems to me to be considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I think a few preliminary inquiries on my part might not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew in any way associated with any of the larger railway stations in London? I simply desire information. Until yesterday, I had no idea that there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew, of 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Gervase Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Sporran, Fifeshire, NB.
That sounds not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof do I have of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period, Lady Bracknell. They are open to your inspection.
I've known some strange errors in that publication.
And the family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, Markby and Markby.
Markby, Markby and Markby! A firm of the very highest position in their profession. Indeed, I am told that one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen at dinner parties. So far, I am satisfied.
How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I also have in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety.
A life crowded with incident, I see, although perhaps a little bit too exciting for a young girl. I am not myself in favour of premature experiences. Come, Gwendolen, the time approaches for our departure. We have not a moment to lose. Oh, as a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask, does Miss Cardew have any little fortune?
Oh, about £130,000 in the funds. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. £130,000 and in the funds. Now that I look at her, Miss Cardew seems to be a most attractive young lady. A few girls of the present time have any really solid qualities, the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come over here, dear. Pretty child. Your dress is sadly simple, and your hair is almost as nature might have left it, but we can soon alter all that. A thoroughly experienced French maid can produce a really marvellous result in a very short space of time. I remember recommending one to young Lady Lancing, and in 3 months her own husband didn't know her.
And in 6 months, nobody knew her.
Turn round, dear. Oh. No. The side view is what I want. Yes, just as I expected. There are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The 2 weak points of our time are its want of principle and its want of profile. Chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends on the way the chin is worn. They're worn very high just at present. Algernon!
Yes?
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the sweetest, prettiest, darlingest girl I've ever met in my entire life. And, well, I really don't care tuppence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people that can't get into it do that. Come over here, dear child. You know, of course, that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend on. But I do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, but I did not dream for a moment of allowing that to get in my way. Well, I suppose I will have to give my consent.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
And you may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Well, the wedding had better take place quite soon, I think.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I am not in favour of lengthy engagements. They give people the opportunity of getting to know one another's character before marriage. Which I never think is advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting, Lady Bracknell, but this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, might I ask? Algernon is an extremely, one might almost say ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more could one desire?
It pains me very much to have to speak frankly to you, Lady Bracknell, about your own nephew, but I am afraid I don't approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible! He's an Oxonian.
I am afraid there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London, on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house under the false pretense of being my brother. Once inside, I have been informed by my butler, he consumed an entire pint bottle of my Pierre Jouet Brut 89, wine I was specially reserving for myself. Continuing in his disgraceful deception, he succeeded, in the course of the afternoon, in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently staked tea and devoured every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is, he knew from the first that I have no brother, that I never had a brother, and that I don't intend to have a brother in the future. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Well, after careful consideration, I have decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct towards you.
That is extremely generous of you, Lady Bracknell. My own decision, however, is unaltered. I refuse to give my consent.
Uncle Jack!
Oh, come over here, dear child. How old are you?
18, but I always admit you 20 at evening parties.
Oh, you are quite right in making some slight alteration. No woman should ever be entirely accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. Well, you will very soon be of age and free from the restraints of tutelage, so I do not, after all, think that your guardian's consent is a matter of any great importance.
Pray, excuse me for interrupting again, Lady Bracknell, but under the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come of age until she is 35.
Well, I don't consider that to be a very grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is full of women of the highest birth who, of their own free choice, have remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbledon is a case in point. She has remained 35 ever since she reached the age of 40, which was many years ago now. I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be even more attractive at the age you mention than she is at present. And there'll be a large accumulation of property.
Algy, could you wait for me until I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively, but I could not wait all that time. I hate waiting, even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, but I do admire punctuality in others, and waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
But then, Cecily, what are we to do?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
Oh, Mr. Worthing, since Miss Cardew states positively that she cannot wait till she is 35, a remark which I feel bound to say seems to show a slight impatience of character, I would beg of you to reconsider your decision.
But my dear Lady Bracknell, the decision is entirely in your own hands. The moment you consent to my engagement with Gwendolen, I will allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
Well, you must know that what you ask is completely out of the question.
And then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny that I plan for Gwendolen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come along, dear. We have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more might expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christening, sir? Is that not a trifle premature?
Both these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age? The idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptised. I will not hear of such excesses. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he found that this was the way you wasted your time and your money.
Am I to understand, then, that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I don't think that, under the current circumstances, they would be of much value to either of us, Dr. Chasuble.
I am grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. They savour of the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views which I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, as your present mood seems to be one peculiarly secular, I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I have just been advised that for the past hour and a half, Miss Prism has been awaiting me in the vestry.
Miss Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I'm on my way to join her.
Pray allow me to detain you just for a moment. This matter might prove to be one of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies and the very picture of respectability.
Oh, it is obviously the same person. But what position does she hold in your household?
Madam, I am a celibate.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, is the esteemed governess and valued companion of my ward, Miss Cardew.
Oh, in spite of what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She is nigh.
I was told you expected me in the vestry of the academy. I've been waiting there for an hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism. Prism? Where is that baby?
Baby!
28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. Several weeks later, through the thorough investigation of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered at midnight, standing alone in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained the manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Oh, Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame, I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, a day that is forever branded in my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag in which I'd intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction that I'd written in my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, for which I can never forgive myself, I placed the manuscript in the bassinet, and I placed the baby in the handbag.
But where did you place the handbag, Miss Prism?
Oh, do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist upon knowing where you left that handbag.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger London railway stations.
Which railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
If you are not too long, I will wait here my whole life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
Oh, I dare not even guess, Dr. Chasuble. You must understand that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They're hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a very emotional nature.
Oh, that noise is most unpleasant. It sounds as if he were having an argument, and I detest arguments of any kind. They're always vulgar and often convincing.
It has stopped now.
Oh, I wish he would arrive at some resolution.
This suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
It seems to be mine. Yes, look. Here's the injury it received through the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus in younger, happier times. Ooh, and here's the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. An incident that occurred in Leamington. And here, on the lock, are my initials. I'd forgotten that in an extravagant mood I'd had them placed there. It's undoubtedly mine. I'm delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It's been a great inconvenience without it all these years.
More is restored to you than this handbag, Miss Prism. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes, Mother!
Mr. Worthing! I am unmarried!
Unmarried? I do not deny that is a serious blow. But, after all, who has the right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one law for men and another for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing, there is some error. There is the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me of who I am?
I'm afraid that the news that I have to give you may not altogether please you. You are the son of my dear sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother?
Yes.
Then I have a brother after all. I knew I had a brother. I always said I had a brother. Cecily, how could you have ever doubted that I had a brother? Dr. Chasuble, my unfortunate brother.
Yeah.
Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algy, you young scoundrel, you'll have to treat me with more respect in the future. You've never behaved like a brother to me in all your life.
Yes, until this day I admit it. I did try my best, though. I was quite out of practice.
My own one! But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you've become someone else?
Good heavens. I had quite forgotten that point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose.
Oh yes, I never change except in my affections. What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
Then the matter had better be cleared up at once. Lady Bracknell, a moment. When I was left in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Oh, every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I was christened.
Yes.
That is settled. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Well, being the elder son, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
Oh, well, I cannot at the present moment recall what the General's Christian name was, but I'm quite sure that he had one. He was eccentric, I do admit, but that was only in later years, and largely as a result of the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion, things of that kind.
Algy, don't you remember what your father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, myself and my father were never on speaking terms. No, he died before I was even a year old.
His name would appear in the army lists of the period, I suppose, Lady Bracknell.
Oh, well, the general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But yes, I'm quite sure that his name would appear in any military directorate.
The army lists of the last 40 years are here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. M. Generals. Malland, Maxbom, Madley. What ghastly names they have. Markley, Migsby, Mobbs, Monclear. Lieutenant 1840, Captain, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, General 1869. Christian names. Earnest John. I always told you, Gwendolyn, my name was Earnest, didn't I? Well, it is Earnest after all. I mean, it naturally is Earnest.
Yes, I remember now that the general's name was Earnest. I knew I had a reason for disliking the name. Ernest!
My own Ernest! I felt from the first you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to suddenly discover that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel you are sure to change.
Oh, my own one.
With Tisha.
Oh, Frederick! At last!
Cecily! At last!
Gwendolyn, at last!
My dear nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I have now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.